So in my previous video about love, I explained what love is actually. And in this video, I want to focus on the family unit. Now, traditionally in America, a family unit started out as an extended family, so 3 or more generations within one household. But a lot of people, they started to apparently feel like, well, there's a lot more space here than there was in Europe or Asia or wherever. And, I don't actually have to live with my parents because I can get a place to live that's separate from my parents. So I can just be with my wife and kids or my husband and kids. And that resulted in a lot of the extended family situations being ended, especially when there was a conflict. There was a very dominant patriarch or possibly a very dominant matriarch. And so, if the situation was intolerable, a lot of times the younger generation would be like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to get my own place. And that became the norm in the U.S. Now, in some places, it's not the norm even now, but in the U.S., it is often, if not all, not always, yeah, but in many communities, we have now got the nuclear family, which is parents and kids. And there aren't very many situations where the parent moves back in with the kids when the parent is old enough and needs help. It does happen. Um, it can be quite burdensome for some families, depending on the condition of the elderly parent. But I applaud any people who can appropriately and lovingly take care of their parents in their twilight years when they're suffering from dementia or physical disabilities or whatever. That it's a major challenge, and it can be very draining on a relationship, a spousal relationship. It can be very draining for the kids in the house, but it can also be a wonderful opportunity, and it can sometimes make the end years of a person's life much better than, say, in a nursing home, because there are some pretty crappy nursing homes out there, let's be honest. But anyways, but as I've been growing up, as divorce has become very common, in fact, and non-marital long-term relationships have become very common. Common law marriages have become very common. Um, I'm seeing a shift away from both nuclear and extended families, and a lot of single parent families. Now, my family's single parent because I have had to take myself off the market, so I'm not looking for a partner because I'm worried about giving somebody else HPV that might cause cancer, just like my wife died of the cancer caused by HPV, which presumably was for me, but we don't really know. Um, but a lot of parents out there are single parents because they were in a bad relationship, they got divorced, and this is becoming more and more common, and a lot of people are having to rely on uh, places to put their kids, daycare and things like that, and nursery school and pre-kindergarten schools. Um, and really, when I look at the situation and then I look at history and I look at other societies and how they handle things, I really think that, well, and this is my personal opinion, you don't have to agree, that's okay. I really think that we need to start considering other ways to raise kids. And when I say other ways, I mean specifically more societal ways of raising kids, where kids become the responsibility of all the adults in the community. Um, and so multiple adults will be overseeing kids at any one time while the other adults are off working or whatever it happens to be that they're doing. Hopefully not robbing banks or selling drugs or pimping out or being pimped out, um, or gambling their life savings away and their stove and their fridge and everything. But if you think about it this way, if you think about groups of families. Now, and I have to be careful here because I know that there are communities that are religiously based where the leadership of that community is manipulative and abusive and controlling and domineering and so on and so forth. And in some situations, it's almost like they have no way out. Like in the Scientology communities, a lot of those families, even if they want to get out, it's almost impossible. The children are separated from the parents. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the parents not having contact with the kids or not having control over their own kids in terms of where they sleep and things like that. What I'm talking about is that people work in a more social way, like used to be done in most parts of the world, and still is in some areas, where kids are, they look at the people in their community as an extended part of their family, even if they're not related to them, and they can go to different or parents of other kids and be taken care of properly, and parents will work together with each other to do this. And I say this for a couple of reasons. And number one is because I have some concerns about the foster care program, and even more so about the orphan system. I know that in both of them there are orphanages and there are foster homes where abuse is horrible. But then again, I also know where there are one-parent homes and two-parent homes where abuse is horrible as well. And I think that the best solution is getting different parents together and different adults together to take turns taking care of kids, and also to try and minimize the chances of physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. And really, with the prevalence of single families and two parent families, one parent families and two parent families, where the parents are not available to take care of their kids most of the time because they have to work 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs, and there isn't necessarily a social network or a state network where you live to support you if you are struggling financially, or maybe the duration of that support is limited to a certain number of years, perhaps 3 years or 4 years. So I believe that if we look to history, if we look to societies where communities look after their each other's kids and after each other, and I'm not saying getting into each other's business all the time, but definitely I feel that the overprotectiveness of Americans toward privacy, toward information privacy, is to the point where we're actually doing 2 things. Number one, we're making it harder for those people who need help to be found and helped, and we're making it easier for criminals to conceal themselves. And I think that both of those situations are bad, because if you're desperate for food, you're desperate to pay the rent, there are people out there who will help you. Now, I'm not talking about you people who are faking it and manipulating others to take care of your financial needs, but I'm talking about the people who really, really are struggling. And so that's, to me, that's critical. So I hope that you'll think about this, maybe make some comments, maybe contribute some ideas about how this would be feasible to create in communities without it becoming a cult or anything like that. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.